Secretary General on the situation on Somalia. I now give the floor to Ms. Catriona Lang.
Mr. President, since my last briefing, I updated the Council on the situation in Lasanud on the 7th of September. Also, I briefed the Security Council Working Group on Children and Armed Conflict on the 6th of September. My briefing today will provide brief updates on 8 areas. Firstly, political developments. Secondly, Lasanud. Thirdly, security, including the ongoing offensive, stabilization and the impact of ATMIS drawdown. Fourthly, women, peace and security. Fifthly, the humanitarian situation and links to climate change. Sixthly, human rights. Seventhly, the heavily indebted poor countries initiative. And eighthly, transition. So, Mr. President, my first update is on political developments. The 27th of May National Consultative Council communique set out 4 specific proposals for a future electoral system, with moves to a presidential system, a 2-party system, 1 person, 1 vote throughout the country, and dates for local council elections and alignment of the federal member states' terms of office. These 4 proposals continue to dominate the political debate, and in particular, the proposed change to a presidential system and the proposed synchronization of federal member state election schedules with the implication for extension of incumbent mandates have proved to be contentious. There are particular tensions around term extensions in Southwest and Jubaland states. I continue to stress that all constitutional amendments, including a decision on term extensions, should be based on inclusive dialogue, consensus, and legislative processes. I remain concerned that Puntland has not participated in the NCC since January 2023, and I urge the Puntland state government and the federal government to seek spaces of compromise and pursue dialogue to enable the constitutional process to move ahead. The constitutional review serves as the cornerstone of Somalia's state-building agenda and is key to reaching agreement on federalism in the country. Mr. President, my second update covers Lasanud. As highlighted in my latest briefing to the Council, the conflict in Lasanud escalated on the 25th of August, when the Dubba Halante militia advanced towards the town of Oog. Currently, the situation is calm and people are returning home. However, the potential for a relapse into violence cannot be ruled out. The United Nations continues to convene partners and coordinate our joint efforts towards conflict resolution. Following the 25th of August events, we issued a joint statement on the 27th of August, condemning the escalation of the conflict and calling for all involved to abide by human rights and international humanitarian law, in particular, the protection of civilians and civilian infrastructure. My team and I have had numerous engagements with all the key stakeholders, including President Bihi, President Denny of Puntland, elders, the Dubba Halante leaders, and the newly formed Sul, Sanag, and KN committee. Our key messages to all parties are threefold. Firstly, to push for an immediate exchange of detainees. Secondly, a commitment to no further violence. And thirdly, to the start of dialogue. The UN is also supporting demining efforts and a humanitarian needs assessment to enable people to return home. Mr. President, my third update focuses on the security situation, where I will cover 3 issues. Firstly, the ongoing offensive against al-Shabaab. Secondly, stabilization efforts in newly recovered areas. And thirdly, the ATMIS drawdown and its impact on the population and the UN's ability to deliver on its mandate. So firstly, the offensive. The President was in Dusamareb, the capital of Galmudug state, from the 5th of August until the 8th of October to direct the military campaign against al-Shabaab. Despite initial success, when the Somali National Army and the allied clan militias took significant territory, there have been setbacks and operational challenges. Government forces are now focused on regrouping, reinforcing and reorganizing, as well as mobilizing additional support from clans before resuming large-scale operations. But in parallel, smaller-scale operations in Galmudug and Hirshabelle by the Somali National Army, with ATMIS support, are making progress. In response to its own setbacks, al-Shabaab has increased the use of 107mm rockets, particularly in Mogadishu. It has also conducted targeted attacks on high-profile Somali politicians. Conflicts in Somalia continue to take a heavy toll on civilians. Last year, we saw the largest increase in civilian casualties since 2017. Sadly, early data indicate a similar trend in 2023, with 1,289 civilian casualties recorded so far. This is partly attributable to al-Shabaab attacks, but also the conflict in Lasanud. Secondly, now to stabilization. The main findings and recommendations of the recently completed independent assessment will inform UN future efforts and guide our work. Two issues in particular need attention. Firstly, generating sufficient police capacity to hold recovered areas. And secondly, mobilizing additional resources from partners for stabilization efforts.